the path that you take kind of creates your trajectory. And there's two things that you can't teach people. He's like, one, you were an athlete. And he said, so you can't teach teamwork. He goes, but secondly, he's like, you can't teach people how to build relationships. And he said, you sat here in front of me and within 20 minutes, you built a relationship with me. And that's something that I have taken with me within my career.
Welcome to the Empowering Industry Podcast, a production from Empowering Pumps and Equipment as the voice of the pump and related equipment industries. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Empowering Industry Podcast. I'm your host, Charli Matthews, and I am so excited to be back at home. Y'all know I have been doing the industry access on the road, seeing some amazing manufacturers and different plants, and just really enjoying what it is to be in the industry. And hopefully y'all have been hanging around, taking a look at that. If not, just go look for the hashtag industry access or follow us on Empowering Pumps. And so just to preface, what we're going to do today, we are going to hear from someone who's doing remarkable things in the industry for women. And y'all know that's a passion of mine. I love the pump industry, but it extends so far. And when we talk about developing our leaders, that's what I find. I find women, we need more women in our industry. You look around and that's what I thought when I thought about the skills gap or the work force gap is, hey, bring more women in here. So what do we need to do to make that environment better so that we can have more women? So without further delay, Kristin, jump on here and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Kristin Gallup. I am the Director of Parts and Supplies for Carrier Enterprise, and I have the privilege of driving strategic decisions within our U.S. territories to help shape inventory and training and product strategy and growth. But also, I am the president of Women in HVACR, which is a nonprofit organization. We're 23 years old, where we focus on networking, education, and just driving more awareness of the trades.
Well, I love that. And I love that you are a woman in the industry too. So you know what it's like out there. But tell us how you got into the industry.
Actually, it was by happenstance. I went the trajectory of getting a 4-year degree, and it's the irony of this is when I was a kid, it was driven that you need to have a 4-year degree. If you don't have a 4-year degree, you're not going to be able to put food on your table. And so it was almost like the vocations and the trades were those individuals that couldn't, handle college. And it's so far from the truth because I headed down this path of getting my 4-year degree in physical therapy and healthcare management. And when I graduated, it was so saturated, I couldn't find a job. And so I spent 10 years of my life trying to figure out, okay, what do I want to do? What do I want to be? So I dabbled in insurance. And spent a lot of time in insurance. And I went to the CEO one day and said, listen, there's got to be more. And he said, Kristin, listen, unless you get a 220 license, he said, there's really nowhere else for you to go in the organization. So I left there and I dabbled a little bit in flooring installation. So I was the director of escalation for all the flooring installations for Home Depot. And it was just a stressful job every single day. All I dealt with complaints. And I said, there's got to be more. There's got to be more. And so the irony of this is I started my job search yet again. And I found myself looking at 2 different jobs within the HVAC industry. And so it's funny how the path that you take kind of creates your trajectory. And so I started working at Gem Air Distributors, and I will tell you, it was the fastest interview I had ever done. I was there for probably 20 minutes, and when we got done with the process, I looked at the CEO and said, I have to ask you, like, why did you hire me in such a short time? And he said, Kristin, he goes, I'm going to tell you something. He said, there's 2 things that you can't teach people. He's like, one, you were an athlete. And he said, so you can't teach teamwork. He goes, but secondly, he's like, you can't teach people how to build relationships. And he said, you sat here in front of me and within 20 minutes, you built a relationship with me. And that's something that I have taken with me within my career. And so I worked for Gem Air Distributors for about 2 years, and they're part of a larger organization called Watsco. And so we were doing a joint venture between Carrier and did the formation of Carrier Enterprise. And so I was promoted to the joint venture, and I was helping at more of an administrative level. So office managerial, I was working for 13 different executives, and my CEO was retiring, and he said, listen, if there's one job that you want to do within this organization, he's like, please tell me what it is. And I said, I would love to do marketing, but I don't have a marketing degree and I don't have this and I don't have that. And he said, talk to Kay Basham, who is the VP of marketing. And he said, and just have a conversation with her. And so she said, Kristin, she goes, your ability to build relationships, she's like, is huge because I can teach you the industry. She said, but it's about leveraging your relationships. She's like, you don't have to be all things to all people. She said, foster those relationships and they will help you get you where you need to be. And so I've taken that throughout my whole career. So I helped build Carrier Enterprise when it was in its infancy, and I was there for about 6 years in various capacities. And then I had an opportunity to join Johnson Controls, to run their factory direct channel. And at that time, they only had about 17 branches. And I will never forget, they reached out to me and said, we want you to do this. And as women, we always have the list of all the things, all the credentials we don't have, right? And so I was terrified to take the role, but I felt the fear and did it anyway. And so I went to Johnson Controls and helped build their distribution channel. And so when I left there, we were at about 49 branches, and we had grown the business. We had quadrupled the business. And so at that point in time, I had an opportunity to come back to Carrier Enterprise, in a product management role, because they were changing the whole infrastructure of the company and they wanted me to help lead that channel. So I've been in HVAC distribution for about 18 years in various capacities, but I love this industry. I love the networking, and I've built relationships that will last a lifetime.
Yeah, and you can see that. And there was something you said earlier that I just wanted to point out.
Yeah.
When you were in your role and you went and asked, like you knew that there was something more or you needed something more. I think about that a lot because, sometimes you get into a career and there's a lot of friction because you are wanting to grow and
Mhm.
you don't know how to make that next career move. But asking, where do you see me? What's available? That does give you a lot of power in your career to make those moves. And it also sounds like you're so wonderful. I mean, again, like I was just on the podcast with you just a few minutes before we pushed play, and you feel like, okay, I know her. I can trust her. I can do things with
Yeah.
her. This is going to be good. And yeah, I think that yeah, you got to have that. You got to have building relationship skills in order to be able to bring those companies together to start others. Yeah, that's a huge skill set.
Yeah, and it's a confidence, it's a muscle that I've had to build, along the way. And I will tell you that probably one of um, my biggest successes within this industry is having male allies on my side. I think every woman should have a male ally in this industry to be able to help them elevate and hear their voice and give them a seat at the table.
Yeah, I think it's necessary. I mean, there's um thinking about being the only woman in the room. Some of y'all can relate to that. Well, you better build some relationships in that room and bring some women in there with you. So I love that. And I love that this is an organization that's been around for 23 years. And that just shows you that y'all have been developing people within the space. And when we talk about HVAC and we talk about behind the walls and the things that people don't see, how have you, been able to, as president now of this organization, where do you see it going, or are there new things that we talk about now, maybe, um, and how do we grow from this?
Yeah, so it's been very interesting. The organization as a whole, like I said, has been around for 23 years, and Ruth King's vision was to really educate more women about the trades. And if you think about 23 years ago, she gave away one scholarship and it's grown exponentially. So just to put that into perspective for you, we're up to about 1,275 members, and we have over 80 sponsors. And sponsors and the members are the foundation of our organization because we are a nonprofit. And so I would say a lot of the growth that we have seen is really on the contractor side. Is we're trying to get, when you look at our membership as a whole, we were heavy OEM distributor, and third party suppliers like marketing agencies and such, and really to drive that connection of getting more female technicians and male technicians in our industry, we really had to focus on the contractor side. And so we've been doing that through our mentorship platform. So when you think about the three pillars, it's networking, education, and mentorship is the foundation of women in HVACR. So we're really connecting women and men in the industry through networking, through mentorship to help elevate them and get them to the next level.
I love that. And also the having that conversation with the contractors. I was just at a water event, and they were talking about the challenge on the administrative side now as
Mhm.
people are building things. There's sometimes not enough time to even fill out the work orders because they're doing the work. And there's just such a low demand for some of this. So I love that you're bringing them together to talk to each other
Mhm.
because we need all these skill sets in order for growth to happen. And we know we have to have, well, there's growth happening every day, right? Um,
Absolutely.
well, that's wonderful. Okay, so if somebody wanted to get involved in the Women of HVAC, where or what should they do?
They should reach out to women in HVACR.org, and they can submit an application. So one of the things that we look at, we're constantly looking for new members, but we're also constantly looking for board members. And our board terms are, they're 3 years for a board member. And then in capacity of vice president, president, past president, that's kind of a 3 year term as well. So every year we have board members that are rolling off. And so what we like to see is investing in our committees so that we can see what you bring to the table, and also show you that every single person in our organization can potentially be a board member and lead this organization to the next level. And that camaraderie and that connection really helps us within roles that we're seeking within, our career path, or literally helping us grow this platform, because that's the number one question that we get asked, whether we're at a trade show or even just emails, is how do I get more women in the trades? They're constantly looking for female technicians. And I think when you think about the trades, it's not just technicians. You can be in a financial role within the HVAC industry, in a marketing capacity. And I think, the trades has never really been perceived as sexy, like technology or fashion, or being a doctor or a lawyer. But what we learned during COVID is it's an essential business. And so everybody needs heating and air conditioning all the time.
Yeah, I'm in Alabama. I know exactly that we definitely need it down here. But
Yeah.
traveling around too, there's just everybody has their own unique needs for it for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so I hear your passion in all of these things. Have you always been like that? Do you have other things that motivate you within your career path? I guess how do you keep going in your growth and development of others?
Yeah, so for me, it's been a tough journey, just because I've never been one that loves to present or to even be on podcasts. Or if you would have ever asked me if I would have been the president leading an organization, I really had to work on building that confidence muscle and investing in myself and finding my passions. Like, I love to exercise. I love doing outdoorsy stuff. I love spending time with my husband and my dog and my family. But I've really started working on building, and it's been this whole career progression of feel the fear and do it anyway. And just working on my story is my story, your story is your story. And I think there's a perception that you have to be a certain way to be in a certain leadership role. I think what I've learned throughout this whole journey is just to be myself, because no matter who you're speaking to, no matter what platform that you're on, your people will find you, right? So I equate it to marketing. You can send out a marketing message, but it's not going to hit every single demographic. It's not going to touch every single person. And so if you lead with your core values and you focus on your growth and you lead with authenticity, people will follow you. And so my motto through this whole career path is if I touch one person, then I've made it. Because again, it's not about me, it's about the message. And I think everybody has a story. And I think as women in a predominantly male industry, I think sometimes we don't think our stories matter. But if my story can help another female or male get into the industry and find their passion, then it's worth it.
Yeah, I think we do that in the reverse too. I think some of us think we couldn't be any good in trades, and we
Mhm.
absolutely just have to do it. Like I love feel the fear and do it anyway. Anytime you can get power tools or a wrench or whatever,
Yeah.
and you can practice and build that skill, there's confidence that goes with that. And so the people that are listening to this that are not in the trades, maybe consider it, and the ones that are, maybe consider that leadership role, and continuing to grow.
Yeah, and I think, in my biggest struggles, I focused on gratitude because there's a lesson to learn. And some of my mentors that I've surrounded myself with have also given me tools. And one of the ones that I will share with you is that we as women, we don't realize how strong and resilient we are at times. And so I focused on what I call my acknowledgement journal. And it's something as simple as looking at my journey throughout my whole career path and acknowledging the small wins, because the small wins build momentum to those bigger wins. And I think sometimes we're just going 1,000 miles an hour and we have disappointments and sometimes it takes us and derails us. But if you look back at all the things that you've accomplished and you recognize I can do this, that's really probably where my biggest growth has come from, is just acknowledging that it wasn't easy and it wasn't linear, but here I am, and I'm here to share that story with others so that when they feel derailed, they have tools to help them get over those hurdles.
Yeah, I love that. Think on the good things, y'all.
Yeah.
And it's such a fuel, like you said. It does. It builds that momentum and keeps you going forward. And we should celebrate more. We
Yes.
just should. We're coming up on the Empowering Women Conference at Chicago, October 1st and 2nd, and we get to give out awards, and it's so rewarding. But everybody who's in the room, I feel like let's just celebrate, have a wonderful time there. And what's coming up for you, Kristin? Where will you be, or where can people find you?
So we are having our huge national conference in Las Vegas at the Red Rock Hotel, October 6th through the 8th. And I'm super excited about it because we did add another day on of content. So we're going to be covering things from emotional intelligence to AI and how you utilize it in your business, as well as making sure you're protected on the cybersecurity side. We have this big connection crawl where everybody from their different channels, whether you're a technician or um, an OEM or distributor or even a vendor, that we're all going to get together and network and just learn from each other. I'm super excited. It's a 3-day event. We're also launching our first Pillar Award, awards for women that we're recognizing within the industry. So they're getting that elevation. We're also launching our first ever magazine, so Top Women to Watch. And I'm just really excited about it because I think for me, there's a lot of women that fly under the radar that are just doers and they get it done and they're kind of behind the scenes and they never want to elevate themselves. And so it's really going to be awesome to see these submissions and these winners be acknowledged at our conference. Couldn't be more excited.
Yeah, and just to receive that invite to be part of it does make a difference to people. So thank y'all for doing that. So October, we're gonna be celebrating women. So y'all join us in that. It's manufacturing month too. It's gonna be HVAC or AV. I'm going to get that right before I
It's easier
finish
to
this,
say
right?
women in HVACR.
Yes, thank you. Women in HVACR. Okay, I did it. So wonderful, y'all. And I can't let you go without a little rapid fire, Kristen. That's just to get to know you a little bit better. What is your favorite book?
So my favorite book, and it's the most recent one, is Let Them. I think it resonated with me so wholeheartedly as far as my journey and all the trials and tribulations, and that recognizing that a lot of things that happen are not about us. I think we internalize it. And so for me, that's probably my most favorite book right now is the Let Them Theory and the Let Them book by
Love
Mel
it.
Robbins.
Yes, I knew it was Mel Robbins. I was like, I think I've audiobooks that. I don't have the book, but I do the audiobooks. What about music? What's your favorite jams?
So I love all jams. It just depends on my mood. Like sometimes on Mondays, I'll listen to a little bit of rap. I do love country, love me a little Taylor Swift, love jazz. I feel like music feeds your soul. And I think no matter what mood you're in, there's music that just takes you to a childhood memory or it takes you out of a bad mood or music feeds the soul.
Yes. What is the best advice you've ever received?
So I would say the best advice I have ever received is that we all have our own unique skills. And there's a lot of times that we look at advertising or we look at social media and we look at Facebook and there's a certain perception of everybody's life. And I think that being your authentic self and not feeding into what you think is reality, that be in gratitude all the time and you'll find your happiness because I think we're in a world where we're stimulated with social media and so's doing this and so got promoted, and I think we do a lot of comparison, and I think that based on being our authentic selves and focusing on what we love helps build that happiness within ourselves instead of looking outside of ourselves.
Yeah, and who has time to pretend? Oh, so exhausting. The energy, who has the energy to pretend? Okay, now think about a woman coming into the HVAC industry
Mhm.
and what advice would you give her?
So I would say one, be a sponge and learn all that you can. The second thing I would say is seek to understand, like understanding how the industry works. The third is finding a mentor, whether that's a female mentor or a male mentor, finding a mentor to help you navigate what you don't know. And it could be something as simple as I have a presentation. Can you look at it? This is my audience. How does this message resonate with you? Um, the fourth thing is finding a male ally. That is super important, especially in our industry. I will tell you, it has served me so well, especially on the marketing side when I walk into contractors' offices and I'm telling them how they should market their business, and they're looking at me like, well, what do you know about HVAC? So really, the industry is really a unique one, but you can learn it very quickly. And so I would say focus on mentorship and finding male allies.
I love that. I'm going to give you the last word. Anything else that you want our audience to know?
Well, first of all, I just want to thank you for inviting me to this podcast. And if you're looking for a career within the HVAC industry or you're looking for a support mechanism, please reach out and find out more information about women in HVACR. Again, we're about networking, education, and mentorship, and there's a place for you there.
I love it. Thank you so much. It was great to get to know you, Kristen, and
All right.
just thank y'all for doing this and empowering and educating our industry. I love it. So October, I'll be looking for y'all too and seeing how I can navigate all of that. And I will share this episode, okay? If y'all are listening, share it. If you know somebody in this space, let them know about it and what they're doing to support them. I mean, that's what there to do: mentor, educate, network with some amazing people in the industry. So thank you again, Kristin. It's been
Thank you,
wonderful.
Charli.
Everybody else, until next time, be empowering.